Is it time for the grand bout to end? Hey everyone, welcome to Princess Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with my blind reaction to episode 15 of Dr. Stone. So, we started the grand bout, and last episode we have already defeated Magma, which was quite a surprise. Like, I genuinely didn't think Magma would be defeated this early, and that kind of, raises a question now. Will we just zoom past the rest of this? Because there's no one else that was really a challenge, right? Magma was the only issue. So by this logic, our group, those who are still in, have no real chance of losing, right? The only thing they would do at this point is if they just added someone in that wasn't, built up before. But that would be a little silly. I mean, because here's the thing: if they face each other, they're just gonna lay down and let someone win. Um, and it's most likely gonna be Senku. I still stand by that. But on top of that, if they face others, it's like no one else was a real challenge for them. They said this. And mind you, the strongest fighters, the strongest fighters in our group have already been taken out. But, I mean, that doesn't mean that it's lost. We have Ginro still, and he, while not being as strong as Kinro, is still capable. And we've seen that Chrome is very capable himself, even if, again, he's not the strongest fighter. So, I don't really see what else they could do here besides just rush through the last fights of this and get to the win. Because there's not really any, not really any, God, what is the word? Oh, it is too early. um, well, I'm just completely blanking out. There's no challenge left. There's no issue. There's no problems to face down. There's no one, again, who can really give them a genuine fight. So at this point, it just kind of comes down to, is it going to be Senku that they let win? And again, it has to be, right? It feels like it's been so built up that they do. I mean, I guess we'll see, but I can't see it really going any other way. Now, the biggest thing from last episode was that there's a new mystery added, with the fact that that Ruri, who is not just the priestess but keeper of the knowledge of this village, has the history and everything of the village passed down for generations now. It's the way that they keep their history and don't lose who they were. But the thing with this is that she mentioned Senku. And in fact, she basically told Senku, it's like, I know exactly who you are. I know your last name. I know everything. And that raises some interesting questions, because it's like, it has to mean that someone that Senku knew prior to, being stoned has to have become, unpetrified before Senku did, at some point in the probably distant past. It definitely wasn't recent. It's something that's been passed down for generations. So someone, unpetrified a lot earlier, which is how this village exists in the first place. It makes sense. Probably quite a few people unpetrified a lot earlier. But someone unpetrified and probably was the first chief of the village. And so told these stories to the other people who were unpetrified, and it just kept getting passed down and everything. And it's like that would absolutely happen. This kind of thing would absolutely happen. It's like in this kind of situation where you have all of these people, like the entire population of Earth, being turned to stone. Like if people like were to unpetrify like that and start a new society and everything, they would absolutely tell stories of the old world and people that they knew. Mind you, a lot of that would probably be lost, but they clearly found a way around that. So this is going to be interesting. This is going to be very fascinating to find out all the info about who this was that could have known Senku, who created this village, and so on and so forth. There's a lot of mystery to this, and I'm very interested to find out more. Sorry for all the yawning and stuff, by the way. It's pretty early. So yeah, just haven't been awake long enough. But yeah, so I guess now the only thing we have left is to get to this and see how this all goes down. So when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episode. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So, this episode cock teased me. It's just I understand there was a lot more to go through and everything to get this sulfa drug made, and to we had to showcase Rory getting better and everything. But it's like Jesus. You really blue balled me at the end there. It's like I want to know what this is all about. Because the fact that the village is named after him, like, this is more than just... This is more than just, someone who knew him being awakened. Because... let's say one of his classmates awakened much, much earlier than him. Why would that classmate name the village after Senku? Even if they believed in Senku, it just kind of doesn't make a lot of sense. It's like, if I woke up in this kind of stone world and was going to make and name a village... I would probably name it after, if I'm going to name it after a person, I'm going to name it probably after myself, or at least a loved one. And that kind of leads me to believe that, could this village have been started by Senku's father? Because I think Senku's father is the only family member of his that we really know of. And in terms of his friends, they're all here. Like, the friends that he had were really only those two, and, they're spying with Tsukasa at the moment. Well, they're spying on Tsukasa while pretending to be with him. But it's like, I don't think anyone else would name a village after him, except maybe his father, who we know believed in him. I mean, like, he sold his car, right, to get the money to buy him, like, science stuff. It's just the only thing that really makes sense. I just can't see anybody else naming it after. It's not really named after Senku. It's named after it's the family name, Ishigami, which would also make sense for the father, because he would have the same name. And on top of that, um, kind of going with what I said about, like, oh, if you're gonna make and name a village, you're probably gonna want to name it after yourself and all. It's like that would also explain that, because he would be kind of naming after himself, not Senku. So it's just like, that's gotta be it, right? It had to have been his father. Of course, that also would mean that his father is dead, very dead at this point, because of just time. But that does mean that he was revived and that he did survive and thrive for at least some period of time. Obviously, I don't know if I'm actually right on this or not. This is just my theory based on the evidence we're given. Do not tell me. Do not tell me if I'm right or wrong. Don't even hint if I'm right or wrong. I count that as spoilers. And I don't want to be spoiled. If I guess something on my own, that's fine. But I don't want to be spoiled on if I'm right or wrong until, an episode actually would do so. An episode telling me, that's fine, because that's the content. But I don't want you guys to tell me. Just please don't spoil me, okay? So anyway. Yeah, this episode did what I thought it was going to do in terms of closing out the grand bout. I fully expected that Senku was going to win, as I've been saying. I didn't quite expect it to happen in the way that it did, though. He won by default because Chrome couldn't fight anymore. Chrome was unconscious. And it's like, it makes sense. It was set up that that kind of thing would happen. But yeah, also Ginro kind of went nuts there. And, I can't blame him. I'm not going to call him, like, scummy like other people were. But he was definitely taking things too far. And was kind of going a little wacky there. I can't blame someone for, necessarily being interested in someone else and everything. So Ginro having feelings for Ruri too. It's like, it's kind of implied that a lot of people have feelings for Ruri. She's like canonically very pretty. She's the priestess, so there's that aspect of things too. And who gets to marry her becomes the chief as well. There's a lot of appeal there. So it makes sense. But again, the way the directions he took it were the issue here, because he got a little crazy there in the end. But he was defeated with a stern shot to the nuts, which, yeah, probably needed right there. But yeah, so Senku won by default, and because of that, he became the chief. However, it seems like he wasn't interested in marrying Ruri, especially since it's obvious he knows Chrome and Ruri like each other. So he's just like, yeah, I'm divorcing her. Just super casually. And she actually didn't mind at all. In fact, she's happy about it because, again, that means she has a chance with Chrome. But, like, she's like, I'm the first priestess to ever be divorced. It's like, hey, you hit a new milestone, or a new, how do I put it? You got a new achievement there. Let's say that. We also saw that our favorite charlatan magician got his cola. Um, which I'm actually like I wasn't expecting to happen in this episode, but at the same time, it's like when the carbonated water was brought up, it's like, oh, that's definitely not for cola. Um, but the instant they were out like on the bridge and he was like, oh, I'm gonna stay behind everything, instantly it clicked with me. It's like, oh, Senku made him cola. Like Senku did use some of the carbonated water to make him cola. It's like it's just the instant it's like, oh, he's staying behind, he's walking towards that hut. Oh yeah, absolutely. And I mean, Senku lives up to his promises. If he promises cola, he's going to do that. So yeah, it just makes sense. um, but Gen was so happy, and again, while it's probably not on the level of something like Coke, or even Pepsi, it's still going to be super refreshing because Gen's been there like almost as long as Senku, and we know that they've been revived for over actually maybe not quite as long as Senku, almost as long as the other two, the other friends whose names I'm just forgetting at the moment. Um, but yeah, he's been around for quite a while because it's been 6 months just since they started to help out and start the Kingdom of Science here at Ishigami Village. So it's been 6 months just in that regard. And since the others were revived, it's not been as long by any means, but there's probably still been a little bit of time that had passed since they've been revived to the point when they went to, you know, go spy on. I said his name earlier, and now it's. I don't know why names are escaping me so bad today. Sukasa. Yeah, when they went to go spy on him, like there had to have been. I'd say a month. I'd say a month. Not too long, but so it's been over half a year. That much is very much confirmed since this series started. And so, with that knowledge, with the fact that it's been over half a year, I'm interested to see how much time will pass as we continue on. But the point I was trying to make as well is that Gen would have been here for a while without having cola. So even if it's not on the level of something like Coke or Pepsi, the fact that it's his favorite drink, just having that, even if it's like, I don't know, RC quality or Fago quality, it's like he's still gonna like it. It's still gonna hit really well for him. I don't know what other kind of brands like are in Japan or whatnot. I just like you just can bet on like Coke and Pepsi and stuff. I don't know if RC or Fago are in Japan. Probably not, honestly. Um, we also not only healed Ruri in this episode, but we found out what she was sick with in the first place. It was pneumonia, which, as Senku said, do not underestimate pneumonia. That shit can kill people. But at the same time, there was a very good reveal because it meant that the sulfa drug would work. And I like how despite them consistently calling it the cure-all sulfa drug, Senku flat out says in this episode, it's not actually a cure-all. It can do a lot, but there's no such thing as a drug that can cure everything, that can destroy all forms of bacteria or disease or whatnot. That's just not possible. It's just that this sulfa drug is extremely effective. It's not truly a cure-all, but it does cure a lot. And we also find out that apparently, like, the rats in the area are also getting sick from this. And so that's probably how it was passed to Ruri in the first place. And on top of that, we find out that Kohaku, bringing the spring water and everything for Ruri to bathe in and all, was actually keeping her alive all this time. Without Kohaku doing that, Ruri would have died prior to this. Like, that's very beautiful and amazing. It's just it's unnecessary. It's a needless touch. But the fact that the creator put this in, um, to show the sisterly love and bonds between Kohaku and Ruri is just a great choice. It adds it adds just a lot of depth to their relationship, and shows that while kind of a brute in some cases, Kohaku is exceptionally caring. That she is just an absolutely loving individual. Everything she's done, even just becoming like a brute in the first place, was for Ruri. Which, yeah, we kind of knew and everything, but seeing it in action here means a little bit more. It's the entire actions speak louder than words kind of thing, you know? And not only did Senku, like, save Ruri and prove that everything he said and all and done up to now was worth it to the people who have been, helping him. But he earned the trust of the entire village. He earned the trust of the now former chief, Ruri and Kohaku's father, who just, wanted his baby girl to be better. Which, fucking fair. Like, he never came across as a bad guy. And, like, they were obviously trying to make him seem, I guess you could say, aggressive or intense. But he never came across as, like, bad. Or, like, he never came across like he would do anything bad. Or, like, he would become, like, an antagonist to our heroes. No. It was always obvious that he was just, trying to protect his village and his daughter. Well, daughters. It was clear that he is a good guy all along. And again, we just now get to see it with action. We get to see him, like, showcase that through his now newfound trust in Senku. Which, I mean, if you're gonna gain trust in someone, this is the way it's going to happen. Like, they save your beloved family members. It's like, oh yeah, trust earned. That's just unquestionable. But even though he divorced Ruri, Senku has become the chief of the village. Like, that's just how it is now. And as I said, this obviously was not intended. Like, they were going to have Chrome win at that point. But at the same time, this is a good thing. Because Senku being the chief of Ishigami Village means that he has all of its resources, all of its people, all of that, all of its knowledge under his control. This is a massive, massive step up for the Kingdom of Science. Like, this is huge. It's not just a win for the sake of Ruri. It's not just a win for the sake of, proving that they could. It's a win for, society being rebuilt and, fighting against Tsukasa's problematic society. Let's use the term problematic. That works. So this is going to be a big jump ahead, and is going to allow Senku to just be able to do more because of having that manpower, you know? Now, I'm just wondering, like, because obviously we're going to find out, like, all of this info next time. But I'm wondering, excuse me, now that he's chief, he can change rules as he will, so Chrome and Ruri are definitely endgame. But I'm also wondering what other, like, kind of declarations he's going to make, rules he's going to change. Just how much the village is going to be different under him. It's going to be interesting to see. And while we know Senku will definitely work the villagers, like, absolutely will, we also know that he's a genuinely caring, empathetic person who is not going to do anything to harm them or, you know, push them too far. We know Senku's not like that. Like, he'll put them to work, and he'll make them, like, help him out with his, you know, experiments and stuff. But he's not going to be an asshole. I'm definitely very interested to see where this is taken now. Because this kind of ends an arc, in a way. Like, I don't know the exact arc layout for this series, but you could even tell by how this episode was, you know, shown, like what they did for the visuals, everything. They made a point of pointing out it's been 6 months, everything's been working up to this point. It's like they made this feel like the finale of an arc, and that's kind of how I'm viewing it. I'm viewing, like, okay, next episode we're going to start learning about the history of this village. And it's like, that's going to be the start of the next arc. And, you know, fair enough. This was a bit long in terms of all the build-up and setup for it. But it kind of had to be, just because of how much science they had to do. So it kind of had to be this long, even if sometimes it did feel a little slow. And it did have a really happy ending. So we can't knock that either. So, yeah, it's just, at this moment, we move on to next time and see what happens. See where it goes from here. In the meantime, though, tell me in the comments below, what did you think of this episode of Dr. Stone? And for now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.